gentlemen, another week, another bright mind in the world of wrestling willing to do an interview with this nuthead that is myself. This time it's graduated senior 133-pounder Noah Gonser from Campbell that just joined the Campbell coaching staff as the director of ops. Noah has some great insight in this interview, and I can't thank him enough for joining the show. Best of luck in your coaching position, and without further ado, we'll keep it short and sweet. I won't overtalk it this week. Just roll the clip.
And joining us now through the power of the internet is former Campbell 133-pounder Noah Gonser and newly minted coaching staff member. How are we doing today?
Doing well. How's it going, Daniel?
Doing well. And so I guess given time to reflect on the whole situation, and granted, given that you were a senior this past year, how has kind of your thoughts on the whole situation changed maybe from when you were experiencing it in real time?
Well, hindsight's 2020, right? So, when you're in the moment, you don't really know what's going on. So up until the moment of we found out that the NCAAs were cut, and even afterwards, like for a week or so after, I was still training just like as if, we're going to reschedule it. We're not really sure what's going to happen next. So I got to stay on my game. I was still running. I was still training. Even after they sent us home, I was like, who knows? Maybe they're going to move it back even farther. I was kind of, I guess, in denial a little bit because nobody really understood the scope of what's going on. And in fact, I still don't think people understand the scope of what's going on. So I was like, well, I got to stay prepared. And then I guess looking back now, we had no clue. We had no clue how drastic this was going to be. We're still going to see the effects, and people still don't know how to handle it, even today. So next season is going to be something to look forward to here, especially right now because the NCAA hasn't issued any real standardized procedures. So every university is handling it a different way. But it's going to be interesting, and I'm not sure how the season's going to work next year. But, so from a mindset-wise, as an athlete going forward here, if I were competing next season, it would be, be ready to roll with punches because you might not have the same college experience as everybody else has had so far. But yeah, going back to your original question there. Right now, going back, I would say, I was kind of doing the right things, I think, it's just living that right lifestyle. That's about it, so.
You bring up an interesting point. You say that like next year, nobody really knows what's going to happen, I guess.
Nope.
I guess you've only had like 24 hours. The news dropped 24 hours ago that you were going to be part of the coaching staff. I guess how do you relay that to people that like maybe like incoming freshmen or people that are still on the team and like maybe recruits or something like that? How do you relay that information that's still difficult to process for somebody like you and now in a position of like, let's say, leadership or control?
Well, I think a lot of it is, living by example, right? So, I mean, even though we can't like wrestle with each other, being, same room, we got a social distance and stuff like that. We're still working out. We're still running, we might not be wrestling, but we're still living the right lifestyle. We're still eating right. So you got to know that at any moment you got to be ready to go. That's the way it is. Now relaying what's going to happen here. There's uncertainty, but our wrestlers got to know that we're taking every step to keep them safe and to bring them up to the highest level we possibly can. So we're working all the strategies we can, playing all the angles we can, trying to get the guys back in the room as soon as we possibly can. And they got to know that we're behind them the whole way. Well, we're going to fight to get them the rest of the season they deserve. So.
Yeah. And I guess, granted, you having started at Eastern Michigan and then transferring over, I'm just wondering, like, having been in Michigan your whole life and then abruptly having to get acclimated to a new team, a new state, a new college campus, does that kind of draw parallels to the situation at all? Like how abruptly everything was instantly thrown on you? Because I looked quite deeply into how like Eastern Michigan broke it to y'all that things weren't going to be there anymore, and it was rather abrupt. No.
Yeah. So that was crazy. That whole situation happened really, really fast, and it was like a big shock right away, instant, right? Oh man, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna keep wrestling? I still felt real young. I still had 2 years of eligibility left. My best 2 years were ahead of me. So I was really nervous, a little confused, not really sure where to go, and Campbell reached out to me, and of course Kowat and Scotty Sentez, I've heard of them. We'd wrestled them the previous season, so I knew the guys, I knew their team and everything. And then the transition for me moving down there, it happened just fast. It was just super fast. It was like as soon as school ended, I was down there. It was literally within a week. It was, and then it was like right back to training, right, got into a schedule, and it just kind of seemed to flow. And in fact, I think I fit in better down there. My mindset and the mindset of that team really, really gelled. So it was actually a really easy transition for me. And it just seemed like everything clicked a little bit, I don't know how to explain it other than that. It just felt like it was the right place for me to go at the time. And yeah, it does. It draws parallels to what happened here. So I think when the COVID thing happened, it wasn't like a big shock. Like for some people, especially on our team, it was devastating, but for me, it kind of felt like, all right, I've kind of been through this, although it's different every time. It wasn't like, I guess, emotionally devastating. I had no idea how to react to it or anything, but it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to keep training. That's all I know how to do. Right. Just keep going, doing what I know how to do, keep doing the right stuff. But yeah. And then of course, a couple weeks later, we found out that, that Kerry Colette was leaving. He was going to Navy,
Yeah.
And he just kind of dropped that on us. And then that really hit, I was like, whoa, all right, crazy. I don't know what's going to happen with the team, especially during this, it was like, during like, it seemed like the time we needed the most leadership, our leader just disappeared, I was like, and no, I totally support his decision. I mean, that's what works best for him and his family. There's nobody can tell him that's not the best decision for him. And then, so we had about a week of total confusion on the team. And then we found out Scotty, our assistant coach, got hired and promoted to the head coach position. And then that's all we needed. Immediately guys are kind of, right back focused. All right, cool. Ready to come back, ready to train. So, but there's always going to be those moments of uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
And, even in matches, there's always moments of uncertainty. Wrestlers are not, wrestlers are used to these moments of uncertainty and just kind of moving forward through it. That's all I know how to do. Is just keep going forward. And generally, if you're doing the right stuff, the right things happen.
And I guess Coach Kola, having been there for, I think it was 3 years, and for the bulk of your career as a wrestler itself, like he focuses a lot on kind of the mental side of wrestling, and he preaches that, and his stuff is everywhere. And I've watched quite a bit of it myself. I just wonder, like, experiencing him and his mode and ideology and way of thinking, what you've picked up from it over the years.
Yeah, he brings it down. He has a great way of simplifying things. So people like me can understand it, right? He kind of takes this idea that, all right, there's all this pressure and stress on you, and is able to just, so what, who cares? People are coming to watch you wrestle, not, people are coming to watch this match. And, you've been doing the right stuff this far in the season. Why change anything? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're wrestling Joe Schmo or number 1 seed. Nothing changes. You go out there and you wrestle your toughest match every time. You wrestle your best match every time. You get better throughout the day. You get better as the day goes on. And just those kind of philosophies, and he's good at breaking you down when you're doing something stupid, and he's good at building you up when you're doing the right things. So a lot of that is promoting the right culture in the room and buying into the system. And I think all D1 programs are good at that. Scotty's real good at that. That hasn't left Campbell. That will never leave Campbell. That's just the way it is. So.
And I guess, does he stress like the idea of prophylaxis and a bunch of preparation before a match, or is he more kind of intuitive in the way that he goes about running his team?
It's a little bit of both. It's a balance. It's in the weight room. It's all about imagining. He's like, all right, if you're lifting these weights, you're wrestling these weights. When you're in the wrestling room, you don't need to imagine anything. You just go out there and you work your butt off. You get the technique down and you hit it as hard as you possibly can. So, we definitely train for opponents. We watch a lot of film and stuff like that, but it's your mindset shouldn't change in between matches. You should be ready to go out there no matter what. Doesn't matter what match it is during the day. So, or what day it is. Even on your worst day, you go out there and you wrestle your best.
And I'm wondering, like, throughout the season, as a season progresses and you get wins or whatnot, like, there's this idea of wanting to win and working really, really hard to win, and then realizing that you can actually achieve whatever you want to achieve. Does that process kind of start over every season, or is there a point that you can look to within a season that kind of reminds you of when that happened?
Oh, there are definitely moments throughout the season, for sure. Are you asking me personally in mine? Because I'm sure it's different for everybody, but you kind of build that confidence on those wins, right?
Yeah.
You can look back at those points and say, hey, I did this and this and this different, or I did this and this right, or I did this and this better than I normally do, and it paid off. And at the same time, the reverse is also true, right? So you can go back and say, hey, I tried this and this, and it didn't work for me. Or maybe my weight cut was bad this week because I did this and this, And a smart wrestler is going to look at those and learn from them. And I think the more you wrestle and the more you can break down your bad habits and build up your good habits, the more success you're going to have. My last 2 years, we're at Campbell, and a lot of it was focusing on, hey, this is what you're doing good. Keep doing that good stuff. All the technique was based on, all right, fitting stuff into my style versus, oh, hey, this is the standard stuff that works all the time. Because just because you're hitting that stuff that works, you got to make it work for your style too. But yeah, the season is kind of a crescendo, right? So you kind of start off in these small little tournaments, little dual meets beforehand, and then maybe you get up like halfway or so, you get to Midlands or you get to Cliff Keen, and those are where you're getting those really big preseason wins, and that's where a lot of confidence is built, Or maybe those are the shocking moments you need to say, hey, this isn't working. I'm not doing something right here. It's not working against the good guys. what do I need to do? Maybe I need more conditioning. Maybe I'm not that strong yet, and it's at those moments where you kind of change what you're doing in your season. They're not big changes. They just need to be little changes, the little changes, and building them up to the point where you start getting that success. And then you head into dual season, right? And leagues, and hopefully by then you've got everything down. But even then, you're still making little changes. I can't, I don't have a perfect match. There's no perfect match out there. So every match you're kind of, you're kind of learning, oh, I could have done this better. Maybe next time I can hit this a little faster. Maybe I need to hit 15 more of those at the end of practice every day because this move was a little sloppy last time. It's making those little mental corrections and knowing that you need to work on that position at that time, and then actually implementing it. So implementing some way to train and actually get better at it. So when it comes down to it, you're gonna be better than you were last time.
Yeah, I guess given all this extra time on your hands, does that kind of offer a moment of like reflection as to how these past years have gone that maybe you didn't realize in the moment, I guess?
I wouldn't give up my seasons, and my wrestling career for the world. I'm happy for the experiences. I mean, of course, I want to win, right? It's a D1 athlete. You got the mindset, I want to win every match. I would have liked to win one more match or two more matches, And yeah, there's moments where you're like, dang, I wish I would have done this or wish I would have done that. But right now you look back and it's like, I'm happy to have gone out there and seen, how much better I got as a freshman till now, and I can only guess that how the NCAA tournament would have gone this year. I just felt like I had so much momentum going, and it just, things don't play out, and you realize that things aren't in your control all the time. Wrestlers, that's common a lot of times, sometimes you get into crazy situations. You're like, how the heck did I end up here? Right.
Yeah.
But, and you got to reel yourself back and get back to it. But looking back on my career, if things, first of all, I think I would have started off at 133 right out of high school. I think that would have been a better decision, not cut the whole for my first 2 years. I mean, I had one of my most successful seasons was my sophomore or my redshirt freshman year and my true freshman year. But as a redshirt freshman, I went out there and, I took fifth at Cliff Keen and was NCAA qualifier. And, but that was all in the first half of the season. I did all of my work first half of the season, and then not knowing how to make weight, not knowing how to cut, not knowing how to live the right way there, you could really see it the second half of the season, right? That year I lost my last 5 matches in a row. So, that's just one of those things where it's like I learned from it. All right, next time I guess I'm going to try this. But yeah, you're going to encounter bumps in the road, and just knowing how to face them. And I think that comes with maturity. So.
And I guess you yourself have described your style as like different, and like when did you learn to embrace that, and did that take some form of time before you understood like entirely that even if traditional means of thinking doesn't work, like it's perfectly okay? Like that seems like a simple concept when you talk about it like that, but like the process is different for everybody, no?
Well, I guess for me, it's all about success, right? So, I just wanted to win really bad, and I think that's just what motivates most people. But everybody thinks about things differently, right? No two brains are exactly the same, right? People identify or solve problems differently. So for me, I knew that my style was going to be a little different, and it always had been a little different. And a lot of that is just based on exposure to, where I grew up and how I wrestled and how the people I was surrounded with and what worked on those people, right? And what worked as my progression in wrestling moved on. But I guess really once I came to Campbell, it was less about changing my style completely and more about changing the moves so they fit my style better, right? So yeah, everybody learns a stand up or something, or everybody learns, how to sprawl, but maybe a sprawl is going to be different if your legs are a foot tall versus 3 feet tall, right? You have 3 foot long leg, it might be harder to get that leg back quick enough, right? So maybe they're not going to sprawl as much, or maybe they have a different way of defending shots. So it's a little bit about making things your own. And once I started focusing on making things my own, and it helped me control matches better, I guess. It helped me score more, and really gave me more confidence as I went on. So
nice. And I guess as the season progresses, and especially with you being a coach now, do you know kind of like, is it just intuitively as a coach knowing when to step in and when to say certain things and when to kind of just allow things to progress and take its course?
All right. Well, first of all, I'm not a coach yet, but I'm just director of operations. But hoping that one day I'll move up and be a coach. Yeah, I think, like I said, it's mostly based on the individual and their success and how it's working. And you're always trying to figure out little problems and issues and little chinks in people's armor, right? I think that's what you're doing. You're just dissecting the wrestling all the time. So when you see somebody hit a move in the room and maybe it's working for them, but that's something that you're not going to really mess with. Hey, that works. He's good at that. Maybe it's not a textbook thing. Maybe, it's not. Maybe he does it in a way that's not pretty, or maybe he does it in a way that's more his style, right? Well, you got to take those little cues, I guess, because for what can be a terrible situation for some people, it could be what wins them a national title, wins another person a national title, right? Yeah, it's just different people, and you got to know what kind of wrestlers you have and how they wrestle and what moves will work in their style and what positions they keep getting into. Like for me, I finish on the mat a lot, right? So I get most of my takedowns on the mat, like single leg or split in the middle, or shelfing it, finishing behind. So I kept getting caught up in a whizzer, so I wasn't getting the takedown as much, and it's not because I wasn't getting in. My setup was good, my shot was good, I was on the leg ready to finish, and then I was getting stopped by a whizzer or something. So now it's like, all right, well, let's figure out 5 or 6 ways that you can get past this defense, or let's get 5 or 6 ways to get past this defense, right? So you kind of reach those stopping points, and then it's okay, now we got to take a step back. What are you doing good? Keep doing that good stuff. But what can you do better? So for me, what could that would be like my finish. So I came up with 2 or 3 different ways to finish from there. And then, all right, now I can score every time I get on my shot. My senior season, it felt like every time I got on a leg, I had an answer for everything. I wasn't getting stalemate. You look at the rest of my season, or the rest of my career, rather, the previous 3 years, it was, all right, I'm getting on the leg. It's a 50-50 if I'm going to finish it once I get to the leg, right? So just knowing that, and then that gives you more confidence. And when you have a great offense, that when you're shooting, the other guy's not going to be shooting. And when you're scoring, the other guy's not going to be scoring. And that really allows you to open up your wrestling. And then you can work on, okay, now I got 5 setups to this one shot, and I got 5 setups, 5 finishes to this one shot. Now it's a one shot, and it's the one shot that I'm good at. But I can finish it in so many different ways. And I just know that every time I shake hands, I know I can get to the guy's leg. And if I know I can get to the guy's leg, I know I can score. And if I know I can score, I know I can get on top. If I get on top, I know I can hold the guy down. If I know I can hold the guy down, I know I can pin him. So it's kind of just a progression like that.
Nice. And I always end on a lighthearted question. And I guess, when did you know that your cradle or back bow was your bread and butter?
Well, I've been hitting my cradle forever. I've been hitting that since before high school, even maybe in middle school, and I've been hitting that before I even was a leg rider and stuff. And that's just a move that always works. I think that's one of the first moves you should learn in wrestling. I love it. Now the other move that came out of necessity. Okay, so I was hitting so many people in cradles that nobody wanted to get hit in cradles anymore, right? So it was like, all right, I got to figure out something else to do too, right? Yeah, so that bow and arrow or foot carry or whatever you want to call it, I learned it at Eastern and started hitting it my junior year there, and or I guess my redshirt sophomore year, and really perfected it with Colot. And that's a great move because it really opens everything else up. So that people don't want to get hit in that so bad that it'll open up 5 or 6 other things. And if you get that move, and even if you don't turn the guy, it's not a fun situation for him. So that they're not going to let you do it twice in a match. So that really opens up other things for me. It did, and it's a lot of good pictures come from that move.
Yeah, yeah.
So, oh man. But
and does like hitting those things just bring a little bit extra joy, like knowing that that's your element?
I don't know about joy. I just knew that. I just knew that, hey, if I get that move, that's another move. That's another thing in the bank. And if the guy's afraid of that move, well, hey, that's more mental points for me, right? That's one more thing he's got to overcome. I don't have to worry about. So I was always looking to score. That was my mindset. How do I get the next points? And oh, hey, if that shows up and I get it, well, it's going to be a bad time for him, and I'm going to score points, or I'm going to make sure he doesn't want to get hit in it again, so I can do something else.
Well, hey, I know you're super busy in your new position, doing all the busy stuff, the nitty-gritty stuff for Campbell. Thanks so much for taking 30 minutes out of your day to talk to me, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of your afternoon, all right?
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day.
All right. Have a good one. Let's see how I can, oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another week of the Mental Takedown. Huge congratulations to Noah on a wonderful college career, and once again, thanks so much for doing the show, and best of luck as the Director of Ops at Campbell. I can't believe we're about to hit our 10th episode, which means it's time for another live stream where you get to hear this voice talk for 50 minutes about everything he's learned about podcasting, where you can engage, ask questions, do all that good stuff. If it is your first time here, follow the Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube, do all the normal influencer stuff that is talked about over and over and over again. All of that will be in the description box. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for tuning in.